Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you guys are doing good. I hope you guys are doing well. And this is Set here, aka King the Conqueror, aka uh, King of Hell, aka uh, the High Evolutionary. How you guys doing? I hope you guys are doing good. I hope you guys are doing great. And this video is gonna piss a lot of people off. So but I feel like this is an important matter, and I feel like people are still not understanding what's going on, eh, or they just want to live in denial, right? Look, you don't have to become a demonologist. That is not a necessary issue. That is not what I'm saying. I'm not saying that everybody needs to be a demonologist. As a matter of fact, I don't think you should be a demonologist. I think I think you would literally succumb to your own darkness and lose yourself, because that's the thing about demonology. It's not that easy, right? um I'm guilty of having said that it's easier, but I also, in the same video, I also said why I felt like it was easier. It's not a thing. Easier was not the right word to use, right? It's more accessible, right? If even that's the right word to use. But like I said, as accessible as it is, it's dangerous. You can lose yourself. You can lose your entire soul, your entire spirit, your mind. You can lose everything, right? It's not an easy thing to work with. That's why you have to work with professionals, people that know what the fuck they're doing, because you probably can't do it, right? So there's a lot to learn. There's a lot to learn. There's a lot of practice. There's a lot of things to do, right? Of course, if you have a guru like me by your side, right, these things that could happen to you obviously probably will not happen to you, right? If you listen, which is not something that people are very good at doing, you know. So, nevertheless, no pun intended, no offense meant. Nevertheless, you have to understand that I'm not saying that you need to be a demonologist, right? Yeah, I don't mean to throw any shades, by the way. I don't mean that you need to become a demonologist yourself, but at the same actually, no, I'm not saying that at all. But you have to understand that the power that you are currently messing with is not a joke, right? You have to understand that the power that you're currently using is not a game, it's not a joke, right? So when we tell you your cup is full, right, and you are aware that your cup is full, but now you want to empty that cup because you don't like the contents that are within that cup, you can't just empty it. You can't just empty it and be like, oh, I'm going to just live empty. That makes no sense. You got to fill your cup. And like I said before, you have to fill your cup with yourself. Instead of filling your cup with something else, fill your cup with you. Because the cup is you, right? In the first place, the cup is not the cup is not a an entity or a god or the cosmos or the universe. The cup is you. You are the cup. Okay, you are the cup. So I chose to fill my cup with something else. I chose to fill my cup with myself. I'm a demonologist because that's who I am. I'm a demonologist because that is part of me. It has always been there. I was just in denial of it. I just disregarded it. I cast it off to the side, right? So when I make these videos speaking against the religious brainwashing that has been brought on people, I feel like people think like the only thing I can imagine is people becoming Satanist or Luciferian. Not necessarily, because I love Kali just as much as I love Lucifer. I love Odin just as much as I love Lucifer and Kali. Shit, I probably love Kali a little bit more because of her. You know? But you get what I'm saying. So it's not, I if I was not a demonologist, I would still be filling my cup with something else at the end of the day, right? And I could be prone to change in a couple of years. Maybe in a couple of years I'll become a yogi. Maybe in a couple of years, I'll just be on some Viking shit all the time. I'll be on some Asgard, some Azir Asgard things, right? Who knows? Only time will tell. But as of right now, I'm content with Luciferianism. Yes, I just called myself a Luciferian. I'm kind of tired of not putting the title on it. I'm a demonologist, but I do admire the energy of Lucifer, Satan. So, for a specific reason, because to me, Lucifer is love. As a matter of fact, Lucifer is too much love. Lucifer is actually too much love for me to handle, you know. And that's okay, and that's all right, and that's fine and dandy. And I wouldn't have it any other. Well, maybe I would have it a little bit different because I'm a warrior, you know. I'm a warlock, you know. I like warring, so you know. And when you work with Lucifer, Lucifer is not a warlike being. You know, he doesn't encourage you to go to war. As a matter of fact, he encourages you to remove yourself from the war, right? And that's cool. There's nothing wrong with that. Even though he's as powerful as he is, he still it's for demons, things are very psychological, right? For demons, things are very psychological. So the subject of today is actually God, right? The entity that you call God, right? You have to understand that this entity that you call God, right? I almost threw up. The, this entity that you call God, right, is a man's only club, right? And some people that might be okay. For thousands of years, that notion has been okay. I don't I don't really I'm not a very men's club kind of guy, right? But you have to understand what it's like if you go to jail and you spend 7, 8, 9, 20 years with only men. At the end of the day, what is going to happen to your mind? What is going to happen to your love? Where is your love going? Because your love is consistently going towards other men on a consistent basis because there's no women around. There's no women allowed and there's no women around. So your love is actually going consistently every day to another man. And the idea of God is also a man. It's a masculine energy, right? Some people feel like it's a female energy, and that could be true, but I doubt it. I don't even think it's a masculine energy either. Well, I feel like it's more masculine energy than anything else, but it doesn't make sense because a god in that, if you are a god that predates um the conception of a human, then this god has no gender, right? Is this okay for me to say? So I just seen 11. I've just seen 4:11 on the clock. So where's my cell phone? Because I don't want you guys to think I'm lying. Um. Anyway, too bad. So I would say that most gods have the ability to transform themselves, to shift their energy into pure female energy. And then they also have the ability to shift themselves into all male energy. Um, so it is really up to your level of understanding if you're capable of seeing both sides of a god, if you choose to see both sides of a god. For some reason, some people believe that Lucifer is actually a woman. I don't think so. But I do believe that if Lucifer chooses to, he could look like a woman if he wants to, because he has that ability to shift and shape himself into a woman if he chooses to, because he's a god. He can do anything, right? So, but in my experience, it's a very, very masculine energy. And I severely doubt that he presents himself as a woman. Maybe there's exceptions to the rules. Maybe there's some occasions or exceptions where, for some reason, presenting himself as a woman it would make the user more comfortable, right? Because I've noticed this notion from I've heard this from men, but I hear this a lot from women. Women have a tendency to believe that Lucifer is a woman, with the Venus and the Saturnian blah 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 energy, right? So women mostly connect to Luciferian energy. Women are very in tuned with Luciferian energy. So, um, I have not, in my experience, I have not experienced Lucifer as a woman, but I also am or was a child of Lilith. So maybe the reason why I've never saw him as a female energy is because I already had a demonic female energy around me. But Lilith's energy is not the same as Lucifer's. You know, um, I think Lucifer is actually more loving than Lilith. Lilith is more warring. It's Lilith is more protection. She protects, right? She covers you. She covets and covers you, right? Lucifer teaches, right? Lucifer presents to you things and shows you things, you know. Um Not that I didn't feel loved by Lilith, but it, Lilith is like a wildfire, right? Lilith is like a wildfire. She's more, she's wild. She's wild. She's more wildfire. She's more, she's all over the place. Um, she's all over the place. And she's, I ain't gonna lie, but it's not always an energy. It's not an easy energy to always deal with, right? Like I've said this many times. I, you know, I had a lot of arguments dealing with Lilith, like a lot of arguments, like almost near death experience. Like close to like death kind of shit, like total war shit. So it's very fiery. It's very fiery. It's very wildfire energy, right? Lucifer is a lot cooler. It's like a lot cooler. It's a lot, there's no, he doesn't show, even if he's mad at you, he's not going to be, he's not going to show you that he's mad at you. You're going to feel that he's mad at you. You're going to notice because he's just going to ignore you, right? And he's just going to ignore you. So, so when he starts ignoring you, you know that you fucked up, right? Like, so he's going to he'll just leave. Lilith does that too. Lilith, but Lilith does that too, right? But Lucifer is not going to argue with you, right? He's not all over the place. He's very cool, calm, and collected. Lilith is it's very wildfire energy. It's very, very extroverted energy. Like Lucifer would be more introverted. Lilith is more extroverted. So, anyways, back to what I was saying. Um, Speaking of love, because we're talking about love here. So, you know, um, you spend your time. We're talking about monasteries, by the way. Like, people, true believers. Nation of Islam, monasteries, Catholic Christian monasteries, church. Right? They can't marry pastors and priests, whatever. I don't remember one or both. They can't marry women. So they have to consistently be around men on a consistent basis, right? So it is fair to say that this entity that we people, not me, but people call God, is a very masculine orientated energy, a lot more than it is female, right? I'm sure there's some people that view God as being female because they believe that God represents love when he does not. There's nothing loving about that being at all. So and there's already an entity that represents love in the first place, right? In in a way, yeah, when we're talking about passionate love, yeah, Lucifer is also like a wildfire, right? Very passionate love, like too much, right? That's why it falls into lust, right? So you're the one that has to you have to control the fire. You have to stem the fire where it needs to be stemmed, right? So anyways, I'm trying to think about a way to say this without being insulting. Um, it's very men on men. It's religion that involves God is very men on men respect, men on men relationships, man on man, everything, right? And the female is not, is barely part of the equation. People talk about Nation of Islam this, Nation of Islam that. People keep saying that Nation of Islam is prone to submit their women. But the Christian Bible says approximately the same thing that the Quran says about women. Approximately, right? So, the reason why I say that the God that you believe in is not a loving God is for this particular reason. Check this out, right? So, you say you are all love. So, you're supposed to love women. And the Bible does say that women and men, well, the Bible says that we are all born equal. But it contradicts itself once it starts talking about women. So who is actually equal? All men are created equal. I just answered my own question. It says in the Bible, all the men are created equal. It doesn't say all beings are created equal. It says all men are created equal. All, it doesn't say all creatures are created equal, which we are. Because people disrespect animals too. People think animals are stupid. Animals are not stupid. They're far from being stupid. They have heightened, they have better senses than you. They have better defensive and offensive mechanisms than you. They have a lot of qualities that makes them actually better than you. Yes, you're capable of doing arithmetics. You're capable of creating rocket ships that send people to the moon. And most animals cannot do that. That's perfectly fine and fair to say. But you are not built like some of the animals that are around. If you are in a hand-to-hand fight with some of the animals that are around, it's going to tear you apart. So you might feel like you're smart, but if you are up against a bear, you might die. You might survive too, because you're that smart. You know, there's people that are clever, so they react fast, right? They don't just, you know what I mean? So, or, you know, but a tiger could be very smart too. I heard this story about a Siberian tiger that killed 50 men by himself. Like it's like he's basically a goddamn god, right? Like people respect the shit out of this tiger, like in Siberia, because he's a man killer, and he will, like, he hunted this dude, and he piled up the bones in a specific way to show him that, you know, don't come around here. You know what I mean? Like he placed the bones in, you know, on the mount to show the other hunters to not fucking trespass, because I will fucking eat you, because that's his territory. That's where he eats. That's where he hunts, and, you know, that's his house basically. So he's basically telling people, don't come here, right? And if you come here, I'm gonna tear your ass up, right? He's a legend. This tiger is a fucking legend. We're talking about present day. We're not talking about like 10,000 years ago. Like, we're talking about today, right? This tiger is still alive, and he's still eating motherfuckers. And if you fucking go into that woods and you try to, like, he has battle scars. People have tried to hunt him many times and they all failed. It's so bad that people that live in the area, so this guy was telling the story, right? It is so fucked up that this guy went over there, got his ass targeted by this fucking tiger, and he started knocking at people's doors to let him in. The people didn't want to let him in, and they said, you're done, you you know what I mean? They was kind of like, you are, it's like a curse, bro. Like, you are fucked, my nigga. This tiger will fucking find you and he will fucking eat you. Like, it's that bad. So we're not necessarily all equal. So when the Bible says we are, and if you're a God and you created these animals, you know what you did. You know that you created a creature that can tear men apart. You did not create this animal equal to men. So you can't say, so obviously you cannot say that all creatures or all being all the same or equal, right? When you know that you didn't create things equal. So when you say all men are created equal, you are actually excluding women. You know what you're saying. It's not a typo. It's not an error. It's not a metaphor. It's not a paraphrasing. You know what you said, and you are aware of what you said, and you mean what you said, right? So, because let's, like, at the end of the day, we're still talking about a God, right? And this God is supposed to be all knowing, all intelligence, and all love. So if I'm aware of this, that means that God is definitely aware of this also. You know what I mean? It would be insulting, as a matter of fact, to think that the God that created you is not aware of that notion. It doesn't make any sense. It just doesn't add up. So anyways, back to what we were saying, back to our apples. This God comes along and says that he's all love, but not when it comes to women. I don't think that's fair. And I think, and I feel, I'm sorry to say it, but I think if you believe that this love is on purpose supposed to exclude women, then you have a severe miseducation. You have a severe miseducation. It doesn't make any sense. How can you be the creator of men and women and prefer men over women? You created them both. You created them both. Like, whatever is inside of women, you made that. Whatever is inside of men, you made that. Okay, this is what I just said. Might have had flown 5,000 feet over your head, but maybe one day you'll get it. But I'm gonna repeat it. You created women with what they have inside of them. You created men with what they have inside of them. So how can you be the energy of exclusion? You can't do two things at the same time. You can't rub your belly and tap on your head at the same time. That's impossible. It don't make no damn sense. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. How can you be the creator and have exclusion energy at the same time? You cannot permit yourself if you are the creator of a thing, you cannot exclude one part of your creation. You cannot blame your creation for who they are when you made them the way they are. And if you did make them the way they are, then that means you did not make them at all. Period. It's one or the other. You can't tap your belly. You can't rub your belly and tap your head at the same time. You can't. Do it. Try it. It doesn't make any sense. And if you are saying that you, especially, it makes even less sense when you say that you are the all-knowing and the number one of everything, right? Beyond, above all gods, above all men, above all women, and have exclusion energy. Why would you have exclusion energy? Why would you need to have exclusion? Your job is not to exclude people. That's us. We're the ones that's supposed to do that. Because we have free will and we can make up things and we can think outside the box or within the box or on the side of the box or over the box or under the box. We can do that because we're humans. To us, that's normal. But not to an energy that says that it has created everything. If you are all love, then the same love, the same equality that is given to men should be given to women. Mind you, and the worst part is we blame women are not to be trusted. 1000% true. I'll give you that. I'll give you that. Women have bad attitudes from time to time. True. You are 100% right. They don't listen. True. They always doing wild shit. True. Everything you said is the truth. I 1000% agree. But, mind you, we're talking about God. We're not talking about women. We're talking about God. We're talking about women too, and we're talking about love. But we're talking about God because God has a massive, severe influence on the way that we perceive life. So let's go back to the prehistoric age. So mind you, this is all loving God. This is all loving God, right? So let's go back to the prehistoric age. Dudes are growing up. Women are growing up. They don't know no better. They're like dogs, right? They don't know shit. They're just discovering shit. They're learning how to talk, all kinds of shit. But according to historical social science, men are always stronger than women. So women were always subjugated to men. Back in the days, they didn't need God to tell them what's what because they probably wouldn't understand because there was no language yet. So the whole time period, the whole prehistoric age, which was like 1 billion years ago, women were subjugated. Right? So a billion years later, women are still subjugated to men. So what's your point here? What point am I trying to make? The point I'm trying to make is this God has watched women being subjugated to men, being not equal to men for thousands and thousands of years. And when men finally was able to communicate and draw and use their imagination and their creativity and invent things and do labor and grow crops and all types of shit, then God made himself known, right? Then he made himself known. But if you are all loving, the same all loving God that we're talking about did not take this opportunity to put men and women on the same level. On the contrary, he perpetuated more of that prehistoric attitude. He perpetuated more of that attitude. Let me repeat it again. He perpetuates more of that attitude. This is just pure facts. This is pure facts. You can look at it from every angle that you want, but it's facts. You can hate my video, you can unsubscribe, you can throw a bunch of insults at me, but at the end of the day, that still remains facts. It's still facts. So how can you say that you are all knowing and you are all love when it's clear to see that both of those things are not true? Why is it not true that he's all knowing? You can't tell me that an all knowing God would stop the union, would diminish, not stop, but diminish the power of the union between a man and a woman, because we're not disembodied spirits. We are not disembodied spirits. I cannot make love to myself. I cannot make love to myself. I cannot birth a child by myself. If I want to help humanity by populating the earth, I can't do that by myself. So I need a woman to do that. So to come along and put down or make the woman subjugate, not educate, but subjugate herself to a man doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. To say that a woman needs to hide herself, to not speak, to not have her own ideas is insane. let's be over oh, let's over not simp here. Let's over not simp here, right? We're gonna over not simp here for a specific reason, right? Let's say that the creation of a woman is faulty by default, right? Right off the bat, a woman is faulty. Right off the bat, right? Let's say that's facts. That's scientific facts. It's proven. It's statistically, it's just undeniable, right? Let's just say that's the truth, right? A God, an all-knowing God. Now we're talking about all-knowing because you asked the question, why would that make him not all-knowing, right? The reason why that makes him all-knowing is because an all-knowing God would instill you with his divine essence, his divine knowledge. My cell phone just rang. I can't. Where is it? Oh, it would instill you with his divine essence, and knowledge, right? So that you can then show and teach the woman what to do and how to do it. So your job here would be to instill that same essence that this all-knowing God that has preferred you over women, but then that would now become your job to not only instill this knowledge into other men if you are above in intelligence, in divine essence, if you are above other people like Jesus, like a prophet, right? So let's say you're a prophet. You don't have to be a prophet, but let's just say you're above, right? You would also have to teach the men just like you're teaching the woman, right? That's what a prophet, a guru, a leader does, right? But let's say in general, in general, your general divine essence, your general divine knowledge would with that within you, your job would now be to instill that in women, not just your dick, not just you know in the old in out, the old in out. So this alleged all-knowing God does not know all, and if he does know, he's keeping secrets from you. He's keeping things from you. And not only is he keeping things from you, he's keeping things from her at the same time. He's keeping things away from you and he's keeping things away from her. Just like Adam and Eve. He was keeping things away from Adam and he was keeping things away from Eve. He said, here's a fucking apple, here's a fucking tree. Don't eat the fruits in it. Why? Well, nobody asked why, but maybe they did ask themselves why. But they was like, fuck it. God said, don't touch it. Fuck it. We're not going to touch it. But then, unfortunately, I came along. Fortunately, or for some people, that was unfortunate. But I came along and I said, yo, did you know that if you eat from this tree, you'll become just like this dude? And then Eve was like, I'm not supposed to eat it, but that's kind of interesting. Yeah, like I'm not supposed to. I know I'm not supposed to eat it, but that still sounds interesting. It was the first temptation. That's why they call it the first temptation. It was the first sin. The first sin was temptation, which is all related to love. All that shit, all the shit we're talking about, it's all related to love. All of it. All of it. Everything. All the time. But the weird part, the part that I find the weirdest, is that most people, well, if we're speaking about Buddhists or yogis, because Buddhists might be men only incursion, but they are aware of the power within a female and male energy combining together. But yet these people still refer to God. Like God is still a reference to some of these people, which is very peculiar. It's very weird. I'm not saying they're doing anything nefarious or something. It's just, like why? Anyway, so back to our apples. I came along and I told Eve, if you eat from this tree, you'll become just like him. She was tempted. She wanted to find out. But the thing, what I'm really talking about is, at the end of the day, just like God is keeping things away from you, because thousands and thousands of years later, he came along and repeated the same process by excluding women again from this divine power, from this divine knowledge, from this divine spirituality that was only accessible, that was mostly accessible to only men. Thousands years before, it was the same thing. He did the same thing. He was keeping away a knowledge from Adam and Eve. Because that's what it means at the end of the day. I mean, it's an interpretation, true. You can look at it. You can look at it that way. You can say that that's my interpretation, but it still remains facts. It still remains true. There was supposedly a thing, because all that shit could be a metaphor. Maybe there was no tree. Maybe there was no tree. Maybe the story of God, Adam, Eve, and me was like a soap opera, right? Maybe it was just like a soap. Maybe we were just inside of a room talking to each other, and then I fucking flipped the table over. I said some wild shit. Then I fucking threw a cup. I threw my wine glass at the fucking wall and left the fucking room. And Adam and Eve was there listening to me talking all kinds of shit. And God was there. He was talking all kinds of shit. And I didn't agree with him. And then I left and blah, blah, blah. And then that made Adam and Eve question themselves and all kinds of shit. Maybe that's what happened. Maybe that's what happened. But we romanticized what happened, or condensed what happened into a more intelligible and imaginative way, so that everyone could understand, instead of a super quantum physics conversation. Or maybe there was a fucking tree, and God put a bunch of power inside of the fucking tree, and told him not to fucking touch the tree and didn't tell him why not to touch the tree. So at the end of the day, you didn't tell them why not to touch the fucking tree. So you're keeping away something from them. He was keeping away something from them. He was keeping some form of knowledge away from them. Oh, but if they hadn't ate the tree, eventually God would have told them. Maybe. 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 Who knows? Maybe. I don't know. You know, like, I guess we'll never find out. I guess we'll never find out, dude. But at the end of the day, if you want to see the true character of this being that you pray to, he did the shit 1,000 years ago. 1,000 years later, he did the shit again. 1,000 years after that, he did the shit again. Because don't forget, there was the prehistoric age. So he kicked out Adam and Eve created a bunch of monkeys. Adam and Eve were perfect beings, and then for some fucking reason, every time Eve was pregnant, it was a fucking monkey that came out of Eve. That's what y'all saying. I'm just repeating what people say. I'm not. That's what people are saying. That's the story of evolution. The story of evolution is that we came from monkeys. So for some reason, like even scientists believe in God. Some scientists believe in God. The same scientists that say that we're monkeys fucking have the fear of God in them. So that means, based on your science, you're saying Adam and Eve created monkeys. So I don't know how that works. I'm fucking around here, but whatever. It is what it is. So Adam and Eve created monkeys, and 1,000 years later, those monkeys perpetuated the same cycle, the same overpowering of the masculine energy over female energy, and then thousands and thousands of years later, the same thing is still perpetuating. So some people say God might be homosexual. I would agree. I think God loves men. I think God is attracted to men. And I don't think that it's a crazy thing to say. I think God might be gay. I think God might be gay. Now, mind you, now I'm using my own theories here, right? Because if you do some research, if you just write on Google what was the first symbol of God, it was a rainbow. It wasn't a cross. The cross came later. Before the cross, it was a rainbow. Flash forwards thousands of years later, you get a little thing called the LGBTQ community. Or you get a little thing called the Illuminati. Because I don't want to blame all gay people for the Illuminati. I think some gay people are in the Illuminati, and there's some gay people that are regular gay people. Like period. So thousands of years later, you get the Illuminati. What's their symbol? A rainbow. I don't think it's a coincidence. I don't think it's a coincidence to have an all men exclusionary group of people that pushes away the idea of women, and then thousands and thousands of years later you get another group of people that are trying their best at destroying the idea of women, and they both have rainbows as a symbol. I don't think any of this is a coincidence. I don't think it's a coincidence. I don't think it was a coincidence. I don't think God not showing Adam and Eve what it is to be a God was a coincidence. I don't think the tree of life, which was probably something way bigger than just a regular ass tree with some fucking fruit in it, I think it was something probably close to goddamn fucking rocket science, right? And he told them not to fucking touch that shit because it's fucking dangerous and you'll fucking die. I don't think it was accessible. I don't think it was that accessible to them. I think they found a way to access it. So Adam and Eve probably went on a fucking journey and stole one of the fucking mechanisms, fruit, one of the knowledge, whatever the fuck this tree is capable of producing, and digested the information and engulfed themselves with the energy of the tree, which is the fruit, because of me. And I'm proud of it. And I'm happy that they did. And today is the day where you will reap what you sow. And I mean that in a good way. Today is the day that you finally get your come-uppings. Today is the day that all that bullshit that he made you go through all your fucking life finally goddamn stops. That's what I mean by reaping what you sown. Because we sowed it, but we wasn't able to reap it. Why wasn't we able to reap it? Because there's a goddamn thing the size of Arkansas stopping us from reaping the fucking shit. And today I say, and today you should say, enough is enough. Plain and simple. So this video is too damn long. I'm out. Have a good one.